The moon hung heavy in the sky, casting pale light over the narrow streets of the city. The air smelled of rain, though no drops had yet fallen. Inside a modest apartment, Mara sat in silence, staring at the unopened letter on the table before her. Her fingers hovered over it, but she couldn't bring herself to tear it open. For days now, she had been waiting for something, anything, to change. She had spent years of her life with Marcus, weaving her trust into the very fabric of their shared existence. Yet now, everything felt undone. The man who had promised to be hers forever, the one whose name she had whispered in dreams, was the same one who had slipped away from her in ways she could never understand. She had found traces, remnants of another life hidden beneath the surface of his fleeting moments. Cryptic messages, distant looks. It wasn't just a feeling anymore. It was fact. Mara remembered the first time she met Marcus, the way he'd smiled at her from across the room, his eyes drawing her in like a magnet. He had that effect on people, making them feel like they were the only one in the world. That first kiss, the electric touch of his lips against hers, had sealed it. She had known then, in the pit of her stomach, that he would change her life. For a time, they were inseparable. They had their shared rituals, morning coffee at the same cafe, evening walks in the park, and the comfort of falling asleep in each other's arms, knowing nothing could tear them apart. She never questioned his love, but love, as she was beginning to learn, had a strange way of twisting itself into something unrecognizable. When trust was broken, Mara hadn't seen the signs immediately. She had been too caught up in the ease of their routine, too blinded by the affection they still shared in moments that now seemed like distant memories. But then there were the late nights, work trips he had to take, the way he would return with that faint, unfamiliar scent on his shirt, the silence that grew between them, the way his hands would hover but never quite touch her the same way they once did. It was the letter that had driven her to confront the truth, the letter she found hidden in the back of his closet, wedged between old journals and forgotten photographs. The handwriting wasn't his, but it could have been. It was the letter of someone who knew him better than she did, who had shared their world without her ever knowing. His betrayal had been hidden in plain sight all along. As she finally tore open the envelope, her hands trembling, she read the words that shattered everything she thought she knew. Marcus, the letter began, I can't keep pretending that this isn't what it is. We both know what happened between us in Paris, and I don't want to go on lying about it. I know you love her, but I also know you love me. I don't think I can do this anymore, but I want you to know, you'll always have me. Mara's heart dropped, and she sat there, frozen. Paris, the one trip Marcus had taken alone in the past year. He had told her it was for business, that he had to meet with a client, but the words in the letter painted a different picture, a picture of betrayal, of an intimacy that Mara had never shared with him. Her mind spun, racing through the last few months, piecing together every moment where something had felt wrong. The late nights, the distance, the lies she had let slide, the small silences she had ignored. When Marcus came home later that evening, his tired face softened when he saw her sitting there. The letter crumpled in her hands. For a moment, his gaze flickered, and in that moment, Mara knew he had already accepted the reality. Marcus, she said, her voice low but steady, we need to talk. He sat across from her, his fingers tapping nervously on the edge of the table, his eyes avoiding hers. The silence stretched between them like a vast chasm. I know, he said finally, his voice rough. I was going to tell you, but I didn't know how. Mara's breath hitched, and her chest tightened. She felt the anger rising, the heat of betrayal curling in her stomach. She wanted to scream at him, to demand why, but the words stuck in her throat. Instead, she said, tell me everything. He sighed deeply, his hands trembling. It wasn't supposed to happen, but when I went to Paris, I met someone. It wasn't just physical, Mara, it was. He paused, struggling to find the right words. It was a connection. I felt something for her, something I didn't expect. Why didn't you tell me? Mara asked, her voice breaking, her eyes stinging with tears she refused to shed. Why didn't you come to me? I thought we were stronger than this. I thought I was enough for you. You are, Mara. You always have been, he whispered, his voice barely audible. But I got lost. I don't know how it happened, but it did. I never meant to hurt you. The words felt hollow, empty. She had heard him say the same things before, but now they meant nothing. She wasn't sure if she was angry or just heartbroken. She had never expected this from him, this betrayal, this fracture in the life they had built together. It felt like a cruel joke, one that had been playing out behind her back while she remained blissfully unaware. "Do you still love her?" she asked, her heart pounding. Sure she wanted the answer, but knowing she had to hear it. There was a long pause, and when Marcus spoke, his voice cracked. "I don't know," he admitted. "I don't know what love is anymore." Mara's chest tightened painfully. She stood up abruptly, her chair scraping harshly against the floor. She couldn't look at him any longer. "You've broken something inside of me," she said, her voice steady, but filled with an agony she couldn't hide. "I trusted you, Marcus. I believed in us. But now, I can't. I can't pretend anymore." "I never meant for it to end like this," he said, his voice almost pleading. Mara's laugh was bitter. "And it ended the moment you chose someone else over me." She walked to the door, her body trembling. Before she left, she turned one last time to face him, her eyes full of pain. "I loved you, Marcus. But now, all that's left is the shadow of someone I thought I knew. Goodbye." As she left the apartment, the door clicking shut behind her, Mara felt like a piece of her had been torn away. She walked through the quiet streets, the weight of betrayal heavy on her shoulders, but somehow lighter without him by her side. The world around her felt strangely muted, like she was walking through a dream that had lost its color. The moon above seemed distant, just like the love she had once shared with Marcus. In the end, Mara didn't know if she would ever be able to forgive him. All she knew was that she had to find herself again without him, without the lies, and without the hurt that would no longer define her. The story of their love had ended, but it wasn't the end of her story. And as she walked into the unknown, she could only hope that time would heal the broken pieces of her heart.